The twin Kikshari children stood no taller than Marcus Webb's kneecap. Their luminescent blue skin flickered with distress patterns as they peered up at the massive human, who had paused mid-swing with his plasma axe still humming in his calloused hands. Marcus was used to being called a giant. At 7 feet tall and built like an ancient earth oak, he'd earned his reputation as the best timber harvester on the frontier colony of New Cascadia. The crystalline trees of this planet required strength and precision to fell properly, and Marcus had both in abundance, but he'd never had aliens seek him out before. "Please." "Human, sir?" The first twin chirped in heavily accented galactic common, her voice like wind chimes in a storm. "Our mother unit is trapped. The enforcer machines will not listen to small ones." Her brother nodded frantically, his tiny 3-fingered hands clasped together. "They say human strength is legendary. They say humans never abandon the helpless." Marcus set down his axe and crouched, though even kneeling he towered over the children. Their species, the Kikshari, were known throughout the galaxy as brilliant engineers and poets, but their physical fragility was equally famous. An average human child could accidentally injure them with an overeager hug. "Slow down, little ones," Marcus said gently. "Tell me what happened." Through stuttering explanation and occasional telepathic flashes, the Kikshari's natural mode of communication, Marcus pieced together the story. Their mother worked in the colony's power distribution center. During routine maintenance, a cascade failure had sealed her in a sub-level chamber. The automated safety systems, designed by a dozen different species over decades of patchwork upgrades, refused to acknowledge the override codes. The Kikshari didn't have the physical strength to force the doors. The colony administrator, a bureaucratic Venlil, insisted they wait for specialized equipment from the core worlds, a shipment that wouldn't arrive for 3 weeks. The mother had maybe 4 days of air. Marcus stood to his full height, his jaw set. "Show me." The power center loomed at New Cascadia's heart, a maze of corridors designed for species much smaller than humans. Marcus had to duck through doorways and turn sideways through passages, the twin children darting ahead like glowing will-o-wisps. At the sealed chamber, Marcus found exactly what he'd expected: a crowd of colony officials arguing in 6 different languages, none of them doing anything useful. The Venlil administrator spotted Marcus immediately. "Ah, Mr. Webb, I'm afraid this is a delicate situation requiring proper protocols." Marcus ignored him. He examined the door. Reinforced durasteel, magnetically sealed with hydraulic bolts that had locked into emergency position. Through a small viewport, he could see the Kikshari mother huddled against the far wall, her light dimming, a sign of oxygen deprivation in her species. "The safety systems won't disengage," a Trillian engineer explained, her tentacles writhing with frustration. "The AI thinks there's a radiation leak. There isn't, but we can't convince it otherwise. Cutting through would take days and might trigger worse countermeasures." Marcus studied the doorframe, running his hands along the edges. The other species watched with mixture of curiosity and condescension. Humans were known for being strong, yes, but this required finesse, not brute force. Then Marcus smiled, the kind of smile his logging crew knew meant he'd figured out something clever. "How much weight can these hydraulic bolts handle?" he asked. "About 40,000 newtons of force," the Trillian replied. "Nothing we have can, and if they're forced beyond tolerance, they'd shear off. But you'd need industrial equipment, and there's no room in this corridor for—" Marcus was already positioning himself. He braced his back against the wall opposite the door, placed his feet flat against the sealed entrance, and began to push. The other aliens stared in disbelief. One human, using nothing but leg strength, attempting what their calculations said was impossible? But Marcus Webb hadn't survived 20 years logging in alien wilderness by accepting impossible. His legs, thickened by years of climbing, hauling, and balancing on precarious trunks, began to straighten. His face reddened with effort. Veins stood out on his neck. The door groaned. "The structural integrity sensors are spiking," someone shouted. Marcus pushed harder, channeling every ounce of power his massive frame possessed. In low gravity, this wouldn't work. In high gravity, he'd kill himself trying. But New Cascadia's gravity was Earth standard, and Marcus had been training in it his entire life. Metal shrieked. The hydraulic bolts designed to hold against external pressure weren't engineered for this kind of focused, sustained force from an unexpected angle. one bolt sheared with a sound like a gunshot. Then another. Marcus roared, an ancient primal sound, and gave one final push. The remaining bolts snapped. The magnetic seal, confused by the physical displacement, disengaged. The door flew inward with Marcus tumbling after it. He rolled, came up on his feet, and immediately scooped up the gasping Kiksari mother. She weighed almost nothing in his arms as he strode past the stunned officials back into the corridor. Medical teams swarmed immediately. The Kiksari mother would recover fully. Her children clung to her, their bioluminescence pulsing with joy and relief. The Venlil administrator approached Marcus, who was leaning against a wall, breathing heavily. That was highly irregular. The damage to colony property alone. Send me the bill, Marcus said flatly. But he never received one. Instead, the story spread. Within a day, it had reached the orbital stations. Within a week, it was on the galactic networks. Not as a tale of destruction or violation of protocol, but as something else entirely. Proof of something the galaxy was slowly learning about humanity. Humans didn't just have legendary strength. They had legendary refusal to accept impossible when someone needed help. The Kiksari twins visited Marcus every week after that, bringing him crystalline flowers and teaching him their poetry. He taught them earth songs and showed them how to fell trees safely. They called him Mountain Friend in their language, a title of highest honor. And when other species asked the twins why humans were different, why they inspired such fierce loyalty, the children would tell them about the giant lumberjack who bent metal with his legs because two small aliens asked for help. That, they explained, was just what humans did.